Jeff, you're dead wrong.
Are you sure about that?
Good question. Actually, why don't we discuss this more? Welcome to the new YouTube show, Jeff and Mike, where an astrophysicist and a Hollywood storyteller get together and talk about anything and everything. Here's a sample of how this discussion will go. So I'm optimistic about where this debate is going. You know, the young Earth versus old Earth creationism, because of the progression of science, because of the progression of knowledge in general.
Right, yeah.
And because we know far more today than Darwin knew in his day, and he was proposing based on just the limited information he had. And I mean, it's my understanding that we're further from understanding how a Darwinistic explanation of the gradualism could have possibly happened because of the advancements in technology.
Right.
And seeing the true nature of the cell and the complexity of the DNA molecule and the information, where did this information come from, et cetera. And
the way I would characterize it, I very much agree with what you're saying, is that, you know, the words of Scripture have been there for 2,000 years. There's been no new Scripture since 2,000 years ago, right? And Christians have been studying it for millennia now. And the big picture's there. The basics are there, and even a lot of the details are there. But 2,000 years later, we haven't exhausted what there is to study from Scripture. We've got a more complete picture than we did 100 years ago. And as we continue to work on it, we're going to get a more and more complete picture. And my opinion is we're going to be doing this forever in heaven as well. So we're never going to stop, and we're going to get closer and closer. I see the parallel with science. We've got a lot of the big pieces in place. We've got some of the details, but we're never going to exhaust what there is to know in creation.
I agree. So. I mean, what the nature of being human is growing and learning,
right?
And so we're not going to stop. You know, we're not God. He already knows it all. And what does it mean to be in heaven? It means to be in His presence. What does it mean to be in His presence? It means to learn more and more about Him and what He has done and what He has intended. That's for eternity. And
right. Chief end of man is to know God and to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. Enjoying is knowing.
Period.
But the more you know, the more you enjoy. So,
period. Yeah. And He designed our brains and our minds. You know, those are two different things.
Right.
He designed the physical mechanism, and also the mind that we are, the way we perceive and understand, and that won't stop.
Right.
But as far as in the short term, I think it gets down to who people trust, right, with knowledge. And I think information technology makes more information available to more people. And I think people, when they see, and I've said this before, and it'll be a recurring theme, is when people see truth, they tend to not look away. It's a matter of their eyes getting locked on to that truth. There is one truth. There is one. The Bible means one thing, even though there's multiple interpretations of any number of doctrines. There is only one true thing, and the goal is for all of us to arrive at agreement.
Right, yeah.
And I think that is where we're headed.
I just don't think this side of heaven, I don't think it's ever going to happen. But we will get closer. I agree we're going to get closer and closer. So.
All right. Well, you're opening up a can of worms. We got to wrap this up. Here, wrap this up.